So after I made my Janet Bloomfield on trial video, Dean Esmay decided to post a novel in the comments section, which I will be responding to. You know, Dean, I always thought we had a relationship of mutual respect. When we disagree, we talk it out like adults. If we can't come to an agreement, we agree to disagree. I've said in public numerous times that I respected you. In your comment, you started out by saying you had respect for me, and then you personally attacked me, and proceeded to strawman me either because you didn't watch the video, or you decided to just lie, deflect, distract and derail, for whatever reason. Your statement that I am being manipulated by a woman is a personal assault on my character. Your insistence that I based my research on cherry-picked comments handed to me by Diana shows me you didn't bother watching the video you were responding to. Ordinarily when people insult my character, strawman me, whatever, I ignore it, but this was coming from you, Dean, so yeah, I felt a little slapped in the face. With that out of the way, let's get on with it.
Okay, goddammit. I was resolved not to comment on this, but now we have someone I seriously respect, RBK, trying to do a breakdown of this shit, and using cherry-picked, out-of-context quotes provided by a jealous woman as his primary source. What the fuck? Since when were you so easily manipulated by a woman, RBK?
You know, Dean, if you respected me, you wouldn't say things like since when were you so easily manipulated by a woman. So if something is brought to my attention and I look into it, and the person that brought it to my attention just happens to be female, then clearly I am being manipulated by her. Oh, and the way she brought it to my attention, she made a public video about it, while never having any contact with me up until I incorporated some of her video footage into one of my videos, and was shocked when she commented on my video, because I assumed she'd never heard of my channel, but clearly she's pulling my strings. I am dancing like her puppet, not like the fact Bloomfield has said some off-the-wall statements here and there. Actually warrants a bit of investigation. Oh, and how come I must be under Diana's manipulative control? Why couldn't I be white knighting for John? Aren't they in this together? And isn't he intelligent enough to manipulate an idiot like me? And if it's sex appeal, let's face it, that man's shiny head is sexy as fuck. If that man poured a little baby oil on his head, and rubbed it all slow and tender, filmed in a smoky pool hall, that's some high-class porn right there. Another thing. My video wasn't examining Janet by analyzing quotes provided by Diana. My video examined Janet by going to her channel and responding to the first couple of videos I seen. Of course, if you had actually watched the video you'd know that.
Let's be clear, this woman has chosen cherry-picked quotes.
Again, I only showed a few quotes from Diana. For context, the introduction of the trial, I showed a few quotes, found one of those quotes, examined it, and came to the conclusion that I think Diana may be misunderstanding the quote, and admitting I am not entirely sure of what Janet was trying to say. The other quotes, I didn't find them to confirm or deny anything, and when I had mentioned that in the video, Diana told me she has links in her videos info on where the quotes came from. I didn't notice that. I wasn't really paying attention, I suppose. I knew in order to investigate Bloomfield, I'd have to read her entire blog, so I figured I'd come across those quotes eventually anyhow.
This woman, who is clearly mean-girling another woman she's jealous of, is choosing old articles and old videos from someone whose views have clearly evolved, and she's still got to cherry-pick to get what she wants.
Wait. Diana is mean-girling the Judgy Bitch. Diana, stop it right now. Janet Bloomfield is clearly emotionally distraught over your bullying. She's not used to criticism, or being in a situation of verbal aggression. Janet is a very sweet and delicate young lady who isn't used to a combative environment.
You see these little babies? They're called broadheads. That's surgical steel. And I'm not particularly concerned about abuse on Twitter. I'm not concerned about threats on social media. And quite frankly, I'm not concerned about threats in real life. Feel free to bring it.
Clearly she's a delicate flower and can't handle social bullying, so please Diana, quit mean-girling her before Dean has to go full suit of armor white knight up in here on her behalf.
This is seriously man-boobsy shit, and I can't believe you're letting MGTOW woman use you like this. You know Diana Davison has openly declared she is a MGTOW and anyone who doesn't like it can go fuck themselves, right?
I've read that post you are referring to. She claims she upholds the virtues of MGTOW and says she doesn't want to co-opt the label. I had to read her article a few times. She uses a bit of poetic license here and there. You know how those goth girls are. because of your foaming at the mouth insistence that I investigate the MGTOW woman and her use of MGTOW is subverting MGTOW and all that shit, I decided to actually write her and try to figure out what that article was talking about. The gist of it is, she believes in MGTOW, its importance to men etc. She is MGTOW because she is not WGTOW. She is not WGTOW because there can be no such thing. She feared her loud support of MGTOW would get AVFM to try to use her support of it as a hijacking point to get women into MGTOW. Her article was satire to say MGTOW is a men's only space, no vaginas and no married men. At least that's my understanding. And as far as her using me, god damn it Dean, she made a couple of videos, and then John made a video, then Paul Elam responded, that's it Dean. In that video I made about John and Diana versus Paul and Janet, I said at the end of that video that the Judgy Bitch was gonna get judged, and I was gonna put her on trial. I had never had any personal contact with John or Diana before making that video. Oh wait, Diana did actually comment on my video right before that. Up until that moment I didn't think John or Diana had ever heard of me. If anyone is at fault for why I am putting Janet on trial, it's actually Paul Elam. When AVFM drama was happening, John and Diana accusing AVFM of selling out and going tradcan, Paul talked about John white knighting for his girlfriend Diana on the forum. John responded, and in that mentioned the whole issue was over married men can be MGTOW. I instantly had a gut feeling I knew what was going on here, but I was willing to let that go. Then Paul makes a follow-up video where he thoroughly sticks his foot in his mouth. It was then I knew I would have to look into this, and we as a community needed to look into this and take this seriously. Had Paul left that one comment out of his response video, and had never made a follow-up video, I think AVFM would have been alright. Let's take a look at what happened, shall we?
The infighting, the attacking of moderators on our forums. And what was interesting about it is that what I saw was this incredible, and it was shocking to me because John talks a lot about it being a man going his own way and criticizing white knights. But whenever Diana Davison began to get in conflict with people at AVFM forums, then you saw a pattern of John running to the rescue, so to speak, and of course what she thought was what he thought, and then the person, the moderator, the other individual in the forum, or whoever else was suddenly at fault. And it even started showing up in John's articles on the side. I had a conversation with him once where I asked him, you know, did you write this really about this particular moderator on the forum? And he admitted to me that he did. It was a veiled article, but the intent was that he was taking a retributive action against somebody that upset his girlfriend, and he was using the site to do it. That was my first real alarm bell.
Factual rebuttals. Apparently I white knighted on behalf of Diana on AVFM's forum. Well, at the time, Diana was the administrator of the forum. The person who I was apparently protecting her from was a moderator who worked for her. How do you imagine she needed my protection there? What I'd actually done is respond to something that she'd said, that they were talking about MGTOW and marriage being compatible, something that I thought was absurd and I should address. It wasn't about personalities or retributive rhetoric against any person. The person I actually was responding to was Grumpy Old Man, who I actually get along with quite well when we're not arguing over points of MGTOW, but it's no personal animosity.
I had a feeling Paul's video was nothing more than a smear against John and Diana, and there was something to this AVFM trying to own MGTOW, and hijacking MGTOW into mainstream traditionalism. I had that feeling based on that one comment, but feelings aren't facts, they're not even really evidence. But it was Paul's follow-up video, that I had just got through watching, before I finished my video that clip came from. It was that follow-up video that made me realize, what John and Diana are accusing AVFM of, needs to be taken very serious. Because Paul put his foot in his mouth a few times.
About the subject of MGTOW, particularly as it relates to marriage, I want to offer an opinion, and the first one that I will offer, that I want to make the most clear, is that that's all anybody's got on this subject, in my opinion, is opinion. There is no MGTOW guru out there.
Okay. So MGTOW is not popular enough, and old enough, to have any academic credentials. It is not found in a credible dictionary like Oxford or Webster. It is not found in a credible encyclopedia such as Britannica. It is not a thing carved in stone and institutionalized, thus it cannot actually be defined. There is no one person who can define it, so let me define it, and my definition is as good as anyone else's. Right, Paul? Right.
And it now seems that we do have people out there trying to capitalize on this like it's some sort of PUA community by saying, no, here's what a MGTOW is. No, here, I know what a MGTOW is.
Interesting technique. Destroy a movement, disarm them, by removing the foundational principles, merely by removing its definition, and proclaiming it cannot have a definition. If MGTOW, or anything, political, spiritual, philosophical, cannot be defined, then it cannot exist. To say, here's a thing that can't be defined, is to say here's a thing that cannot exist.
But when it comes to the reality of being somebody going your own way, the very idea that there's anybody in the world other than yourself that can define what that means, to me is ludicrous on its face.
This is a grammatical sleight of hand. It just comes back to MGTOW is doing whatever you want. No, it isn't do whatever you want. MGTOW is not being a male feminist. MGTOW is not being a he for she. Elliot Rodger was a man doing whatever he wants. David Futural is a man doing whatever he wants. Joe Biden, responsible for the Violence Against Women Act, is a man doing whatever he wants. Tradcan extraordinaire, rocking Mr. E is a man doing whatever he wants. I don't call those men MGTOW.
If I were, one, I started this out by saying that the moment that we try to define what MGTOW is for anybody but ourselves, we're on the wrong path, and I firmly believe that. I think if you're one of these guys out here saying MGTOW is this and MGTOW is that, here's my MGTOW for you.
So Paul Elam just gave the middle finger to me, Barbarossa, Sandman, Stardusk, Spetsnaz, John the Other, and many more MGTOW who have said a sentence containing MGTOW is, or MGTOW is not, and we've all made the declaration of MGTOW is or MGTOW isn't. We've all done that. I may have to make a future video cutting to every prominent MGTOW saying in at least one of their videos MGTOW followed by is, isn't, is not, doesn't, does not, won't, will not. That is defining MGTOW, and laying down a do or don't, an is or isn't.
Call it the manosphere, the men's community online, the men's movement, whatever, that are barking orders at people, telling them what they must do and must not do. Let me ask first, does that sound familiar? Anybody heard that before about what you have to do, what you have to be to belong, to call yourself this or that? It sounds like, and it is, a very thinly disguised version of man up. And
so Elam wants a war with razor blade candy? Here we go, Paul. What you, as a MGTOW, must be a man. What you, as a MGTOW, must not be a woman. You must also not do or be married. You must also not hate men and or advocate for the rights and well-being of women over men. You have it. RBK just laid down for the second time the primary rules of MGTOW. 1. You have to be male. 2. You can't be married. 3. You can't be sexist against men. Looks like I am telling people to man up. Hey Paul and Dean, have you guys ever shamed a man by calling him a white knight? Oh, then you just defined him, shamed him, and told him to man up. Have you ever laid negative judgment of any kind on a male feminist for his feminist activism? Then you just defined him, shamed him, and told him to man up.
oh my God, how could you say you're a MGTOW if you're married? I mean, the courts can get you. Well, here's the deal. You know, can a skydiver be a MGTOW? I mean, they do take a risk every time they jump out of an airplane.
The MGTOW stance against marriage isn't the risk, it's the gynocentrism.
Can a man sit there conscious of the whole world, of every possible risk that is out there, and then decide, that's what I'm going to do? Isn't that, in fact, his way?
The MRM, born of the anti-feminist community, is an umbrella term that seems to incorporate everyone that doesn't like feminism. We were progressing away from feminism stinks because women belong in the home being submissive to her husband, like really good Filipino women. I hate feminism cause it done got our American women all uppity. We are progressing away from that tradcan bullshit, and becoming something starting to resemble an actual human rights movement. We are now seeing, for whatever reason, an uprise in traditionalist sentiment, the MRM is quickly going to go the way of the vanilla Bible Belt conservative, your average American Republican voter, with no real plans to liberate men or establish equality. The only saving grace is the MGTOW movement, strictly by virtue of drawing a line in the sand and saying no marriage. We act as the only real opposition to this Tradcan takeover of the men's movement, and again, that resistance is based on our position of no marriage. You erase that line, and suddenly the line between Tradcan, MRA, and MGTOW becomes so blurred it all runs together. Eventually, your average MRA is a stereotypical conservative, due to its anti-feminism, and MGTOW becomes your stereotypical libertarian, due to the greater emphasis on freedom. We'll have videos of MGTOW men alongside of their WGTOW wives. MRM and MGTOW will just get watered down and washed out into being pointless mainstream politics devoid of any real concern for the liberation, justice and equality of men. It'll just get turned into rally against the feminists, and that will devolve into rally against the socialists. So long as MGTOW draw that line in the sand and say no marriage, whatever MGTOW is or becomes, it won't become a reactionary regressive movement to return us men back to the plantation, protecting and providing like a real man. So, John the other claims the forum incident in which you are accusing him of white knighting, was actually over the debate of whether or not married men can be MGTOW, and not an act of John acting like a jealous schoolboy white knighting for his crush, as you so describe it. Then you, Paul, come out with a video saying yeah, MGTOW can be married. I'm sorry, but I'm taking John's word for it on what the issue was. You, Paul, have been accused by John of mission drift, abandoning the original mission of AVFM, selling out, and catering to the more popular Tradcans. You respond by making a video proclaiming MGTOW can be married, and no one's allowed to define MGTOW. The MRM is quickly going the way of the traditionalist conservative and their one man one woman, nuclear family, women are caregivers, men are breadwinners, sexual dimorphism. The MRM is going in that direction. AVFM is accused of selling out and going in that direction. Your mascot, your media director, your golden girl Janet Bloomfield is accused of being a traditionalist evangelist, and the one, and the only, resistance to the Tradcan takeover, is MGTOW. And how do you respond, Paul? By saying of course married men can be MGTOW. Let's just say, aside from assassinating John and Diana's character, you're not doing much to refute the rumor that AVFM done sold out. So I think I need to do a little investigating, starting with the accusation that JB is evangelizing traditionalism, and that, Dean Esmay, is why Janet is on trial, because your boy Paul Elam done ran his mouth, and got his foot stuck right in it. Paul may have said a lot of different things in that video, and obviously I am not showing the whole context in which everything occurs. I am highlighting the eyebrow-raising moments of his video. Again, that video of Paul Elam's, is why the trial of Janet Bloomfield is taking place. Not because I am so easily manipulated by a woman.
Why are you relying on this person for your quotes? Why aren't you even seeking alternative points of view?
Again, Dean, if you'd actually take the time to watch more than the first 8 minutes of my video before commenting, you'd know that the majority of that video was me responding to Janet's videos. I am analyzing alternative points of view. I am analyzing Janet's own published words from her blog and YouTube channel. Dean, you little fucknut, I am the alternative view.
Why are you even putting someone like me in a position of being seen as white knighting just for calling bullshit?
I'm not putting you in any position. Why are you obligated to even come to my channel and run your mouth? Keep in mind, you're always free to do so, but what is it that is obligating you, forcing you into that circumstance? I made a video not even involving you, and you run to the rescue of the accused. If that makes you look like a white knight, you're kinda bringing that on yourself, I'd say. Just the way you say why are you even putting someone like me in a position? I ain't putting you in any position. You're putting yourself in that position. And even though this is not the same thing, I can't help but think of an abusive spouse attacking their spouse and then, when the rage is over, they say look at what you made me do. That weird I can't be held responsible for my own actions thing, that certain people do, in a weird way. You're reminding me of that. You with this why are you even putting someone like me in a position? Sorry Dean, I was unaware that I had some kind of control over you. I made a video that didn't even mention your name. I had no idea that would force you into anything, or place you in some kind of position. Is that, by any chance Dean, your role with AVFM? People fuck up, get called out, and your job is to stand around like a fucking PR agent apologizing for them and doing damage control? Is that your actual function? Because you seem to do it a lot, and it would be the only way in which I put you in any kind of position. Why can't Janet come to my channel and speak for herself? She is the Judgy Bitch. She is full of herself and has a just bring it attitude in her videos. Is there a reason she can't be bothered to speak on her own behalf? Is there a reason Dean the apologist Esmay has to step up and defend her? Seems to me like you're putting yourself in positions. Grown-ass woman with a hardcore just bring it attitude doesn't come to my channel and speak up. Instead you're speaking on her behalf. Damn right you're going to look like a white knight, Dean. I haven't even found her guilty yet. This trial is a careful analysis. I even said in the video that nothing could be conclusive at this point. The trial would continue. Before I even offer my verdict you are running to the rescue. And not by just handing out a few links and saying, hey RBK, here are some great resources which I think will solidify Janet's official position. You might want to include some of this material in your analysis. Fuck no, you come running up to my channel with your sword and shield. You come running at me in full white knight mode basically shouting, Janet is an innocent woman, it's all the fault of that devilish woman Diana, you're a manipulated sucker RBK. Rather than watching your video, I'm just going to strawman the fuck out of you and your video, and accuse you of shit, and character assassinate anyone that dare besmirch the good name of Goddess Bloomfield. A pox on you sir, a pox on you, man. You come to my channel talking stupid shit, telling me I'm manipulated, and strawmanning me to death. And I haven't even laid down a verdict yet. Oh, and as an update, she has come to my channel and she has spoken on her own behalf and she has done a significantly better job of it than you, bitch. Whatever my verdict on Bloomfield is, I think I already have more respect for her the way she handled herself, than I do for you due to the way you came to my channel with all this insulting and strawmanning bullshit. And also, I don't have to like a person to promote their work if I think their work is beneficial to the men's movement. I gave a thumbs up and a tweet to Rocking Mysteries Gamergate video. I tweeted your article you linked to me in this comment. And I don't have to dislike someone to declare their politics to be wrong or toxic. I called out the critical G, in spite of the fact I really liked the guy on a personal level, and I wasn't even a self-described MGTOW at the time.
Why are you even putting someone like me in a position of being seen as white knighting just for calling bullshit when you could just as easily contact me and ask me shit, or contact JB and ask her shit?
Dean, I don't want to PM you for your opinion on a goddamn thing, especially when it comes to AVFM stuff, since the pattern I've noticed with you is you're the AVFM apologist guy. But beyond that, your personal opinion on Janet or anyone is irrelevant to the point of this trial. Maybe I don't feel like contacting Janet. Did you ever think of that? What am I supposed to do, Dean? Ask her, hey Janet, rumor has it, beneath your exterior of fighting for men's rights you are gynocentric, and from time to time preach traditionalist shit. Any truth to this? Asking if someone is toxic or hateful or exploitative of a demographic of people seldom gets met with an honest answer. After all, when's the last time a feminist has come right out and said damn right I hate men? They all hide behind that I don't hate men, I'm just fighting for equality, and then proceed to deny misandry is even a thing, and top it off by wearing a I bathe in male tears t-shirt. So asking someone if they are exploitative, hateful, or toxic to a demographic of people is pretty pointless, because you almost never get an honest answer. Seems to me the most logical thing to do is to do some impartial investigating. Go watch her videos and read over her blog, you know, actually look at the material she has published under her name.
It was just this kind of womanly relational aggression bullshit, cherry-picking statements, reading insidious motives into what others were saying and doing, projecting paranoid fantasies onto others, that got this MGTOW woman, DD, thrown off of AVFM.
God damn it, Dean, would you please stop bringing Diana into this? This isn't about her, this is about Janet Bloomfield.
Actually, it was pretty near the end when she wrote an article proclaiming herself MGTOW and got pissy when we wouldn't publish it, although she eventually put up a watered-down version of it on the cock website, which you can still read today unless she's pulled it. Just who is subverting MGTOW again?
Diana, damn Dean, what is your fucking obsession? Did she piss in your coffee or something? This is about Janet Bloomfield.
Her mean girling Janet, by the way, was incredibly minor, until now, compared to her constantly alternately flirting with and/or picking fights with male staff members at AVFM, creating shitstorms with gossip and whispered behind-the-back allegations about practically everybody.
I don't care, Dean, this isn't about Diana. My video that you are commenting on, just briefly mentioned Diana. It's about Janet, and the evidence I am examining is Janet's own work, starting in the order I see fit.
Her relational aggression.
God damn it, Dr. Phil. Next time someone uses the stupid fucking term relational aggression, I'm gonna put a foot up their ass and show them some aggression, a bit of the ultra-violence, real horror show.
Bullying of at least a half dozen AVFM staff that I can name, and probably some I don't know about, and constantly creating drama like a stereotypical wannabe alpha female, had nearly everyone hating her by the end.
This relates to Janet Bloomfield preaching toxic gynocentrism. How? This justifies, explains, puts into context, some of the weird-ass things Janet blurts out. How?
I was the only one who managed to stay friendly with her at all, and that was because basically I'm a nice guy, too nice sometimes, and I'll talk to almost anyone. I was, in the end, the only one left defending her or JTO and hoping they would stop engaging in witch hunts inside the movement and instead concentrate on the common enemy.
By the way, Dean, who do you think the enemy is? I will define the enemy as anyone that propagates the exploitation of the male sex for the advantage of the female sex. The enemy is anyone who isn't fighting gynocentrism. The enemy is male disposability, male exploitation, male abuse, misandry, or the thing which encapsulates all of that, gynocentrism.
Which they failed to do, preferring instead to look for any hint that someone somewhere might not be ideologically pure enough to contribute to the movement, like a left-wing version of Rock and Mystery.
Wait, so John and Diana are hardcore leftists? Not that this is relevant.
Which you'll notice they're now doing publicly. They aren't pure, they have a hidden agenda, they threaten our precious fluids. Shit was near constant internally, which was part of why we as a group could not take it anymore.
Where are they doing that now, Dean? I haven't seen them doing this in any of their videos. If this is all over there, you can be married and still be MGTOW thing in which they were fighting. Then I stand by their side. You cannot be married and MGTOW. It's bad enough the men's movement is being hijacked by white knight tradcans, but now they have to encroach on MGTOW space with you can be married and MGTOW. MGTOW means do your own thing. And when you talk about this purity, can I get an example? Is this about MGTOW can't be married? Is this about all the fake-ass motherfuckers in this movement who aren't fighting for men? They're just fighting against feminism, not because feminism hurts men but because big government, or because not my taxes, or because feminism is just a type of socialism and socialism is bad, or because a woman's place is in the home, or because I don't like movements that begin with the letter F. Are those the sort of people they were getting into it with? At any rate, what does this have to do with Janet Bloomfield?
This woman you're using for your information.
You mean Janet Judgy Bitch Bloomfield? Because goddammit Dean, if you cared to actually watch my video, you will notice all I done was respond to Janet's own goddamn videos. Out of that 41-minute video, I think a whole whopping 4 minutes was about Diana's quotes, and most of it was me saying I actually disagreed with Diana's interpretation. Either you didn't watch my video or you're a stupid senile fuck.
This woman you're using for your information, the MGTOW woman, isn't content to say well I don't want to do things AVFM's way, I'll build my own thing and make that something I think is better. No, instead she wants to, in stereotypical drama queen fashion, make a big public stink about how she been wronged by those dastardly men who has a sinister hidden agenda that's a threat to us all. And their women are bad too. Burn the witches. Burn them.
Hey Dean, I've publicly stated numerous times, before I was aware of any of the AVFM infighting shit, or anything John and Diana were saying, that the amount of vagina in AVFM is becoming a little unsettling. I've said as far back as the Woolly Bumblebee incident, something along the lines of, why did AVFM hire Bumblebee to begin with? Probably because they're in such a hurry to stock up on female tokens. Anything with a vag not calling MRAs rape apologists, gets a job with AVFM. I've been making comments like that here and there about AVFM since the Bumblebee incident, and I understand the reason why AVFM so greatly wants to work with women. It's because when men shout men are in trouble, men are hurting, men are getting screwed, women shout shut up, you're all a bunch of privileged male pigs, go choke on your privilege and die. And our fellow man says quit crying you little fags, man up. Neither men nor women give a shit about men facing injustice, but you get a woman to stand up and shout hey, there are men in trouble, men are hurting, men are getting screwed, and this upsets me as a woman. It gets men within earshot to actually pay attention. It is also heartbreaking that what they are paying attention to, and responding to, in most cases, is the fact that men's inequality is distressing a woman, so we end up with half the men's movement being made up of men who want to fight socialism, fight feminism, and restore the traditional/patriarchal ways to protect women, and I fear that damn near the other half of the men in the movement do care about men, but only because some woman told him it was okay, he was allowed to be concerned about men's inequalities, but nonetheless, I understand why AVFM seriously wants a lot of women willing to fly the MRM banner, and why they even want women leading the charge if at all possible, but again, understand this comes with the consequence of having a lot of women enter into the movement for selfish gynocentric reasons, and because half or more of this movement is made up of weak-ass white knights, A handful of moderately popular female MRAs with gynocentric traditionalist motives can so very easily hijack the whole damn movement, turning it into a fight to liberate women from responsibility, liberate them from the unpleasant parts of equality, liberate women from all the accidental consequences that feminism gave them along with all their privileges. You claim John and Diana want to burn the witches? Well, it looks like Esmay wants to save the damsels, and RBK wants to give a fair and unbiased evaluation to the more public of these women.
This is great for her. She wins either way, because she's sowing chaos and making herself the center of attention. How can you not see this?
God fucking damn it, Dean. You're the one that keeps mentioning her, not me. In fact, I wish you'd quit obsessing over Diana. This trial, the video, that you are responding to, is about Janet Bloomfield, and you write me a goddamn novel in the comments shouting and ranting and raving Diana, Diana, Diana.
She can't be content to just go her own way and do her own thing, can't concentrate on the research exposing feminist corruption and so on.
Feminists, feminists, feminists. Lord of mercy, it's all about the feminists. What about the other half of female entitlement, that half called traditionalism, or patriarchy as many feminists refer to it, though they refer to everything as being patriarchy? What about all these anti-male MRAs? What about all these gynocentric white knights calling themselves MRAs and then bitching at people like me, Sandman, Stardusk, Barbarossa, and so on, as being misogynists? These anti-male, white knight, traditionalist motherfuckers who wag their finger at MGTOW for not showing women the proper respect the little ladies deserve. These fucking scumbags are male feminists as far as I am concerned. They don't care about men, they're just fighting the so-called enemy, feminism, because feminism ruined chivalry for women, and feminism hurts women too, and feminism ruined the good old traditional way of life, and feminism might end up forcing women into the draft like men, and feminism is ruining the illusion of women as virtuous goddesses. And your statement right here, Dean, she can't be content to just go her own way and do her own thing, can't concentrate on the research exposing feminist corruption and so on. Did you just tell her to go her own way, followed by the direction in which her way is? Well, Dean, if she did that, she'd be going your way, but let's not get into that. You want her to focus on feminist corruption while totally keeping her mouth shut about corruption within the men's movement.
She can't be content to just go her own way and do her own thing, can't concentrate on the research exposing feminist corruption and so on, which by the way she's exceptionally good at, and instead constantly she makes attacks on the very organization that made her famous in the first place. Can you say hell hath no fury like a woman scorned?
Translation: we made you, bitch, you owe us, how dare you bite the hand that fed you? Look, Dean, if you're right and Diana is this vile toxic whore that you and AVFM made famous, you done proved my point. AVFM hires anything with a vag and puts them on a pedestal, thereby allowing no shortage of toxic gynocentric women into the movement. Either way, Dean, you and AVFM lose the argument, if Janet is a toxic gynocentrist. By virtue of traditionalist advocacy, or by any other means, gynocentric and thus toxic and antithetical to our cause, then I am right, you are arbitrarily putting women on pedestals, making them famous as you put it, all in an effort to maximize your message by using female voices, but doing it haphazardly. If Diana is also toxic, why the fuck did you hire her and then make her famous? Perhaps the AVFM application needs to say something other than mandatory minimum qualification, have a vagina.
In fairness, she's still a great writer, too bad she has a consistent pattern of making a good first impression on people and then leaving chaos in her wake.
Diana, Diana, Diana. Do you think you could talk about the woman the video was actually about?
May I suggest for your next series you put the relational aggression fairy on trial too, instead of buying into her manipulative bullshit?
Diana.
Again. Say
Diana.
again. I dare you. I double dare you, motherfucker. Say
Diana.
one more goddamn time.
One thing that's particularly telling is that both she and her boyfriend have, privately to me at least, claimed JB has made a slave out of her husband.
Good. Good for Judgy Bitch. Good for Mr. Judgy Bitch. Maybe he likes being a yes man to a ball buster of a woman. Fuck if I actually give a fuck, Dean. Some men are irresponsible fucks whose life is actually improved by having a strong take charge bull of a woman enter their lives. I'm not going to judge. Be sure to let me know when Janet's personal and private decisions, revealed to you in private messages, has any bearing on her public political advocacy.
Yet they don't make that claim about girl rights. What, who's in a common law marriage, or Typhon Blue, another married woman?
How much are you willing to wager that I don't care, Dean, Karen, Allison, and their husbands, for more people that have nothing to do with my video that you are commenting on? Can we bring Kevin Bacon Tom Snyder, and Alec Baldwin into this too? Go on, add them to the list of people and shit that is irrelevant to my video.
And by the way, I met Judgy Asshole, aka Mr. Judgy Bitch, which they haven't. Let's just say the portrait of him as a manipulated slave is hilarious and leave it at that.
Oh thank God, Dean. I was so worried and concerned that it was true. Now that you've cleared the air, I can sleep tonight.
He now knows, as she does, just how much damage she could do to him if she chose to. She's mortified to have this sort of power, and has said so. By the way, if you asked I could find you quotes on that, and he, now made more aware of these issues thanks to her work, now understands there's a gun in the room, and she has it, and he has to trust that she won't use it. He gets it, she gets it. What more do you want?
I want you to actually address something in my video when commenting on my video. I want you to come at me criticizing something I've actually said, while completely irrelevant to anything I actually give a flying fuck about in this trial. At least you're actually talking about Janet, instead of Diana, so we're making progress, Dean. At least you're taking the spotlight off of Diana, and putting it on Janet, who this entire video was about. Goddamn, no wonder Janet and Diana don't get along. No matter what Janet does, good or bad, you keep yanking the spotlight off of her and putting it on Diana. I feel sorry for Janet, she's like Jan on the Brady Bunch.
Marsha, Marsha, Marsha!
It's always Diana, Diana, Diana.
Marsha, Marsha, Marsha!
Diana, Diana, Diana.
And this gets back to something I privately asked MGTOW woman and her boyfriend that they would never answer. What is it exactly they want JB to do? Divorce her husband and move out? Will that make her vagina ideologically pure enough? Or should she maybe keep advocating for crushing gynocentrism and for the rights of boys and men, including not just her husband but her father and her sons and all her male friends?
You know full well that Janet being married isn't the issue. The argument isn't even that she is in a traditional type of marriage. That's not the problem being brought up from John, Diana, or the trial being conducted by me. They are free to have as traditional of a marriage as they see fit. I don't give a shit about people's personal decisions, so her actually having a husband isn't the issue. You know this. Is there any particular reason you're trying to twist the argument into that? The rest of your comment here is just links and a brief discussion about these links. I will go over these links for the trial. I will not comment on them here. I will go to your follow-up comment.
Oh, and P.S. Why don't you try asking Janet if she thinks it would be acceptable for the man to be first mate and the woman the captain, or for people to pick arrangements completely alternative to that sort of arrangement? I can already tell you what your answer would be. People should be free to set up their relationships however the fuck they want to. Including no relationship at all if that's what they want. Gosh, that's really fucking sinister, isn't it? Christ on a crutch, what an incredible waste of time and energy. Your Honor, I move to drop the charges and throw the case out as frivolous.
Dean, you ignorant fucker, you come to my channel, disrespectfully spit in my face by posting a novel accusing me of being easily manipulated by a woman. You have insulted my intelligence, you have insulted my character, and you have accused me of false motives for my honest and impartial investigation. You have made it clear, not only to me, but to everyone that read your comment, you didn't actually watch the fucking video, and if you did watch the video, I have no idea why you are lying your ass off and straw-manning me to death. You said, okay, god damn it, I was resolved not to comment on this, but now we have someone I seriously respect, RBK, trying to do a breakdown of this shit, and using cherry-picked, out-of-context quotes provided by a jealous woman as his primary source. What the fuck? Since when were you so easily manipulated by a woman, RBK, as my primary source? No bitch, I used just a few of Diana's quotes, to show an example of things Janet was accused of representing. Keyword accused. I never said the bitch was guilty of these things, I just said she had been accused. I said the only quote Diana gave, that I have located so far, I believe Diana was mistaken on what Janet meant. That's right, Dean, the one quote I did locate, and I actually took Janet's side, giving her the benefit of the doubt because her message was a bit ambiguous, and then proceeded to respond to Janet's own videos, and ended my video by saying, it's too early to tell anything, this trial will continue. That, Dean, some way somehow, translates to me using cherry-picked, out-of-context quotes provided by a jealous woman as my primary source. You either didn't watch the video, or you're just lying and straw-manning for whatever fucking reason. Are you getting paid to act as an apologist for AVFM? Is that your job? An AVFM staff member gets some heat and your job is to act as a PR agent and spin doctor? You seen my video and figured in order to earn that paycheck you had to spout any kind of drivel to uphold the pretense of doing your job. Is that what's going on? Because if you watched the video, That's the only motive I can think of, or, as I suspect, you just didn't have the respect or common sense to actually watch the video you are attacking, and your entire defense of Janet is based on the weirdest notion you have. This notion that if you can convince people that Diana Davison is a bad person, this somehow clears Janet's name. Well, Dean, I got news for you. It doesn't work that way. It is, after all, entirely possible that Diana is a horrible jealous psychopath trying to drag Janet through the mud, for whatever mean girl jealous girl motive Diana has, and Janet also just happened to be a mixed up little wackadoo at the same time, preaching two different political messages under the MRM banner and employed to do so by AVFM. Yes, Dean, no matter how evil Diana might be, if she is at all, she might still be right about this. A broken clock will be right twice a day. Sometimes the paranoid are being followed, etc., etc. Janet has said some eyebrow-raising shit that does need to be looked at, fully taken in, placed into context and evaluated. And I know your response is, why examine Janet, why not examine Diana? As you have already said, well, I may or may not get around to examining Diana. Frankly, I don't have the time, and it would serve little purpose. If I were to try to put Diana on trial, there isn't a whole lot for me to do. Most of the allegations are things such as, she is bad in moral character, seductive, manipulative, mentally/emotionally unstable, jealous, relationally aggressive. How the fuck am I supposed to investigate that? That's all a bunch of hearsay. I don't know her or John, I don't know the crowd they hang with, and ultimately, so what if it's true? I'm not concerned about people's personality quirks and petty social problems. And what if I did find her guilty of being a this or a that? What's going to get accomplished by it? AVFM has already fired her and smeared her name. What is there left to do? Meanwhile, Janet Bloomfield is the one in the spotlight, in a high position inside the world's largest men's rights organization, being backed up, praised, and pedestalized by AVFM. AVFM has heard the criticisms and allegations against Janet and have responded by defending and endorsing Janet 100%. Janet seems to be AVFM's golden girl. She's practically the team mascot at this point. If after this investigation, Janet Bloomfield is found absolutely guilty of preaching toxic gynocentric values in her publicly published work, then this means AVFM fully endorses each and every one of those values. This isn't a matter of some writer on the staff suddenly being found to have a blog no one at AVFM knew about, and the blog containing a few racist slurs. No, this would be like one of your most public figures in the company being a full-fledged member of the KKK, coming to work in their clan robe, and when someone brings it up, saying we wholeheartedly stand by and endorse this person. Yeah, it's that serious. That's why only Janet's public work will be used as evidence, not private messages or private emails that may or may not surface, and hearsay from friends and enemies. Only her published work that AVFM has had, and has now, full knowledge of when hiring her, and supporting her in the face of allegations. The trial of Janet Bloomfield is a prelude to the trial of AVFM, which will be held not by me, but by the whole MGTOW community. And that is why no matter how rotten of a person Diana may or may not be, it's completely irrelevant because you done fired her. There is no real point to a trial or investigation. Also, the excuse that Janet's beliefs have changed a lot. Well, had they changed by the time AVFM hired her? If I find that Janet was doing some hardcore tradcan and all-around gynocentric preaching, the day AVFM hired her, there are two ways of examining that. 1. AVFM knew of her tradcan position, and believed that her, and her tradcan preaching, would make a perfect addition to AVFM. 2. AVFM is so desperate to hire anything with a vagina, to stock up on tokens, that they have no screening and no standards, and are thus hiring any man-hater and neo-feminist that wants to have a voice in the manosphere. Look, Dean, I don't know what petty fucking drama you have with Diana, and I swear to God I just don't care, but an attack on Diana does not absolve Janet of anything. It would only be a valid tactic if I were attacking Janet based strictly on the hearsay being fed to me by Diana, which you seem to think I am, either because you didn't watch my video, or because you feel the need to be a liar, and lie in the comment section of the video itself, which would be the dumbest thing for you to do. What the fuck, Dean? You know I pwn stupidity like nobody else can, and so you woke up one morning, and decided to put yourself in my crosshairs, and proceed to go full retard. Are you suicidal, Dean? Is this a cry for help? The trial of Janet Bloomfield, and thus the trial of AVFM by proxy, will continue. Dean Esmay, I find you guilty of being a dumb horse's ass, but rest assured, your dummissery will not be used against Janet. Oh, and I don't know if I mentioned this, but long after you came to my channel white knighting for JB posted on my video, Janet didn't spit in my face the way you did, Dean. She came to my channel and challenged me, throwing down the gauntlet. I can respect that. You, Dean, spit in my face twice, once by strawmanning and accusing me of hidden motives, being manipulated etc., and a second time by claiming to have respected me.